If you could describe Billy Joe Saunders in one quick sentence, how would you do so?
A sexy motherfucker.
I'm gonna make sure he go right out the ring, and I might get on the top of the bucket or the rope and come down with a flying elbow kick. Who knows? Who knows?
Hope you get hit by a bus today, you fucking wanker.
Who the fuck is he talking about?
Oh, great shot! Left hand, right hand from Maxwell. Well, where did that come from? I can hardly believe what I've seen. An astonishing turnaround. He gets to his feet, and he stops it! He stops it!
And the first time was so nice, I had to do it twice.
Favor of Tyson Fury. And judge at ringside, Phil Edwards scores about 113 to 113. Even a draw. The decision is a split decision draw.
Ooh, how convenient.
They can say anything the fuck they want, and I don't care.
I'm the Ken man. I'm more Mexican and the rule is this. He's a coward. He's all got a no heart. Pussy.
Daniel Dubois, I am going to knock you out.
You ain't ready for me, and you never have been, you never will be. You all your knockout power and 10 men in that ring on the night can't beat Tyson Fury. I'm going to make you fuck yourself.
Oh, go on, man.
Any of you radio personalities think you want smoke? Call me Mr. Chimney. I want smoke.
Yes. What is up? MCR family? Another daily edition of the show live on YouTube, obviously podcast from iTunes, Spotify, radio, etc. It should be a fun show. I'm Matt Hipster Hunter. It's going to be one where we're talking about Top Rank fielding offers for sale. Their company, Bob Arum, interviewing with or being interviewed by Chris Mannix on his podcast, detailing basically that, hey, I have no issue with this company going to someone else either before I die, after I die, don't really care. We're going to play the audio of that. It's quite hilarious. And obviously detail me, the past offers that have been sent to Top Rank and sort of our predictions to where Top Rank will be heading long term. Plus, not Javante Davis. Adrian Broner and Devin Haney have gotten into a little bit of a back and forth on social media. Eddie Hearn sort of being involved now with the negotiation, I can say. Can we say it's a negotiation, Gary? Yeah, it's weird. Plus, Dubois Joyce is official. A lot to get to on today's show. Without further ado, let me get to Gary in Dallas. Gary, how are you, man?
Good. A pretty good Golden Boy card last night. Don't know if anyone watched it.
I didn't watch it.
Nugret, really good night. And then Ricardo Sandoval looked really good. So good performance from two good fighters in the smaller weight classes. And then a lot to get into. I'm actually interested in Haney and Broner. I'd like to see that fight. I'd like to see the build up to it, and I think it's good for Haney. Get him in front of everybody. And if Broner can make 135, I want to hear what you think. Can he have success at 135?
We're gonna get to it, Gary. We're gonna get to it. Okay, don't worry. Don't you worry about it. Let's first get to the Top Rank sale. I think that's a bigger issue. Not bigger issue, bigger topic, let's say, in the boxing world. Let's say if Top Rank does sell in any sort of capacity, whether it's its library, whatever it is, that's massive news for the sport. Talking about a 60-plus year promotional company selling, that would be massive. So let's get to the audio from the Chris Mannix podcast with Bob Arum detailing his thoughts about this. Bob Arum's thoughts about whether or not he should sell in any capacity. And Gary, remember, when you're not talking, please mute yourself. Okay, please mute yourself. Let's play this audio.
Do you think about what Top Rank will become when you're gone? Do you think about that at all?
No. I mean, it'll continue. Won't have me, shooting my mouth off, but
that that is kind of what Top Rank. You are
shooting my mouth off is what Top Rank is.
Well, it's a big part of it. It's you promoting. You should call it shooting your mouth off promoting.
All right, but again, we have smart people here that know how to make matches, and ultimately, are the matches that you make and the product that you present to the people which make it successful or not successful.
Do you hope it stays in the family, or would you care if it got sold off?
I don't care. I mean, it doesn't matter to me. I mean, particularly, I mean, I'm 88 years old, so let's assume we sold it to a big company, paid me money, and and I still had a say in the promotion and so forth. And when you're dead, you're dead. After I'm dead, who the hell cares? Certainly not me. I'm dead. Right?
It sounds like you've thought about selling, though. Is that
what?
Have you thought about selling?
Yeah, we always think about selling. Sure, not that we look for a buyer, but we've had a number of very attractive offers over the past year.
What stopped you?
They weren't attractive.
Is that just the bottom line, though?
That is the bottom line.
If somebody came in with an attractive enough offer and you could still do what you do, you wouldn't care if you
in 2 seconds. In 2 seconds, I'd give them all the memorabilia also.
Not everybody would say that.
Well, I would.
Do you think that'll happen?
Yeah.
That you'll sell?
Probably. We'll see. It's a race to see my demise and whether it's sold after my demise.
What does Todd think about the future of this company?
Who?
Todd.
I think he likes the future and he wants to be involved. But if we're sold to the right people, it would do a lot better than it's doing now, because it will have I'm looking to sell it to somebody that can help make it part of my dream, which is a worldwide enterprise. I'm looking really for the resources and the wherewithal and the knowledge to do fights in India and to make boxing a really, truly international sport.
Is there somebody out there that has that?
Yes. I'm not going to tell you who. I'm not going to tell you who, because that'll affect the price if they come in.
All right, Bob. I'll let you go. Bob, you never disappoint. I got to tell you that. Always.
All right, let's get into it, Gary. Obviously, this isn't completely new information. I mean, we've had now years of Bob Arum / Top Rank being in the news cycle in some fashion, in talks to sell. And again, some fashion. It goes all the way back to 2017 with Bob Arum and William Morris Endeavor at the time, now just Endeavor, which is the giant Hollywood talent agency, which also owns and the majority owners of the UFC. They wanted to buy the fight library of Top Rank in 2017. I think they wanted to try to buy out Top Rank all out in 2018 and in 2019. Because let's not forget, when we were talking about the Endeavor buyout in some capacity of PBC, Top Rank was included in that. They were looking at Top Rank. So this is not new information, but this is, from my recollection, the kind of the first time Bob Arum has been really open about this topic to some capacity and saying he wants to sell. He wants to get out of the business, and that if it's the right bidder or the right buyer with the right amount, and in his mind, he can still be a part of it in some capacity and it would grow the brand, he's all for it. And obviously, Endeavor is a company that has been looking to expand its profile, and buying Top Rank would probably be included in that to some capacity. So, Gary, my thoughts on this is that we will 100% see Top Rank be sold to a company, and I will even add to that, it be Endeavor. That Endeavor will buy the Top Rank at some point and house UFC and Top Rank within its profile and its portfolio, so to speak. And I will also almost bet money that I don't have money to bet that they will look to buy Top Rank out before they launch their IPO, meaning Endeavor, before they go public on the stock market. I think that's probably one of the holdups they wanted that kept them from going and launching their IPO last year. They want to beef up their portfolio. Top Rank is a massive, long-time, multi-million-dollar company you can attach yourself to. And again, the fight library of Ali, Leonard, etc., that they have is quite synonymous with just boxing as a whole, plus all ESPN properties as well, UFC and Top Rank. Gary, your thoughts on Top Rank selling, period? Like your thoughts on what that would look like. Would you want Top Rank to get out of the Bob Arum family, so to speak? Because obviously Todd Dubois is his son-in-law, right? I want to say, or not, and who do you see buying out Top Rank? Do you see it be Endeavor? Do you see it be the UFC owners buying out Top Rank, or do you see another party coming in and buying them out? Thoughts, Gary?
I think Todd Dubois is his wife's son, because his wife is Lovey Dubois. I don't know what that would make him. His son?
Stepson?
Maybe, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
I forgot the relation exactly. I know they're related. I just forget the relation exactly.
I know his wife's name was Lovey Dubois. So I'm guessing, I don't know.
Anyways, digress.
That's not really material.
Say later.
It makes sense. Like I think that he's 88 years old. I can't believe he's 88. He's still sharp for 88.
Gary, hold on 1 second. Gary, you're breaking up a little bit. Refresh your page. Yeah, just do that. It might be me. It might be Gary. My internet's been shit lately, so it would not be surprising if it's my fault. But definitely curious to see what happens to Top Rank going forward. Gary, you're back. What's up?
I've been having internet problems all the last 2 days. So if there's an issue, just let me know. I'll have the manhandle AT&T.
You know me, Gary. I've been having to. Yeah, Gary. Whenever I'm talking, please mute yourself because StreamYard's fucked up. We're gonna have to figure something out going forward. But again, thoughts on Top Rank selling, who they would sell to, who do you want them to sell to, and do you want them to sell? Period.
I mean, I would like them to sell. Whoever buys Top Rank, I hope they buy PBC too, because then they just put the two. No more colliding heads. Like, just work together. You know what I'm saying? Like, have it all under one umbrella so that we don't have to worry about Top Rank fighters not fighting PBC fighters and so on and so on. I always thought that Bob Arum would just go public with it and then let Todd Dubois deal with all the headaches that go along with that, right? Like, when he's done, just go public, get public funds, and then let Todd Dubois deal with all the nightmares of being a publicly traded company. I mean, the good news is you get money from all types of investors, right? It's open. Anyone can buy into your company. The problem is exactly that, right? So that he's looking to sell to a bigger company, it was interesting to me. I didn't think that's what they were going to do. I'm sure, look, just that library alone has value, right? So, I mean, there's going to be a lot of interest in it. I don't know if he has a reasonable price in his mind or if he's just looking to, like, make me sell kind of thing, like make me an offer that's I can't say no to.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I don't know how much control he has over Top Rank day to day. And I'm sure that whatever deal they struck, Todd Dubois would still have a part in that deal. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it would be out of Dubois' hands entirely.
And honestly speaking, depending who the owner is, if they brought in a bunch of new people, it would predominantly be non-boxing people, I'm assuming. Because if you're thinking it's a bigger media company to some degree, bigger media companies aren't boxing companies. Like there's a difference. Look at like DAZN's issues and them admitting their issues, not understanding the boxing industry, right? Because they're not a boxing company. They're a media company. It's very different. And I think to some degree, a lot of the possible suitors to Top Rank fit that category. However, I am curious of an Endeavor type that has now a track record with the combat sports industry. And plus with the synergy that would bring ESPN's network with their boxing content and their MMA content, I could see, not necessarily like Dana White being, let's say, now involved with Top Rank, but Endeavor be better suited to handpick boxing people to bring into Top Rank that they would want to lead that corporation to the new branding of it, and they be adequate for the job. But regardless of that, I think you're largely right. I think Todd LaBeouf will be here at least for the next 10, 20 years. Let's be honest. I think Bob Arum is probably out of here in the next 5, 10 years. And where that sale happens on that timeline, it doesn't really matter because I think it will happen. Do you agree or do you disagree? Do you see Top Rank staying private within the Bob Arum family, or do you predict them selling?
I think I don't think he would have said that if he was just going to give it to Todd DeBuff, right? I think, or maybe he's just 88 and senile. I don't know.
That's possible.
If you heard Joe Biden lately, I mean, all people just say the damnedest things, you know.
It's rough. It's rough, man. Don't bring up Iowa. Just don't do it.
No, I think he will sell it. I think that's his plan. I don't think that he cares. You know, some people want the legacy, some people want it to go on, and some people don't care. I wouldn't care when I'm gone. I have kind of Bob Arum's point of view. You know, my interesting, like, do you think ESPN, and I don't know the legalities of it, ESPN would want to buy it? Because then they would own all the rights to all the Ali fights, all those classic fights. ESPN would own the rights to that.
I mean, it's not unheard of. We have DAZN, allegedly, though
That's what I was. Yeah.
I feel safe in assuming this, having a minor ownership of Matchroom USA, and also allegedly some ownership and some sort of investment into Golden Boy as well. Also coming out from John Nash on Bloody Elbow, they're 50%, so to speak, of the revenue for Bellator as well. It comes from DAZN. Like, networks are becoming such a massive force in this industry, and in some aspects overtaking promoters in terms of control. So is it impossible to see a future where a network has a majority ownership of a promotional company as well? No, they already, in large aspect, sort of run the promoters and tell them what to do. It may be a de facto relationship that's not written that way, even though it might be written that way in some fashion in terms of like dates and venues or in certain events they're demanding from the promoters. But largely speaking, I think networks are the ones in control of the market right now. To see them further supplant that control would not be shocking at all. And plus, it's ESPN, aka ABC, aka Disney. You telling me Disney would buy out a company? Yeah, that seems likely. That seems actually par for the course, right, Gary? That Disney would grow their monopoly and monopoly power of the entertainment industry? Absolutely. I wonder, though, if that's the smart thing. And if that's even, I'm not as well versed on like the Ali Act. I don't even know if that's like from a legal perspective, legal. Like, I don't know if a network can own a promotional company and have that, that dominant force of a negotiation with the fighter. That would be, I think, a new barrier to hit to some fashion. But digressing from that, do you see Top Rank growing from the buyout or falling apart from the buyout in the next 5 years, let's say? Like, do you see Top Rank becoming truly, the number 2 company and promotional company in the world again? Because I would say they aren't right now. I would say they're a good number 3rd, but they're not number 2. I'd probably give Matchroom that. And I would class PBC, even though they're not this, as a pseudo promotional company. They're number 1, I would argue. But Gary, thoughts on like Top Rank's long-term viability, honestly speaking, even with the buyout, even with like, let's say, an Endeavor coming in with having a multi-billion-dollar entertainment conglomerate that owns the UFC, or ESPN coming in and buying out Top Rank, would that actually improve Top Rank as a whole? Would it improve its viability as a company? Thoughts?
I mean, that depends who buys them and what their interest is in them, right? Like, if they got bought out by a much bigger company, up front it would be good. because they would get loaded with cash. It'd be like if I gave you an unlimited credit card. It'd be good for you up front, right? You know, yeah. But then do they just load them up with debt and then declare, set that up as a private entity and then bankrupt it? I don't know. I don't know. Like, what is their interest in it? Is it, when it's with Bob Arum, it's helping that family. They know it's a long-term play.
For this thought experiment, Gary, let's say, and you can pick either or here. It's one of your choose your path books, right? Like back in the day. Let's say it's either Endeavor, which is a Hollywood talent agency which owns the UFC, multi-billion-dollar company, or it's ESPN. One of those two. You can pick which one. You can give options for both. And I'll be honest, I think in this thought experiment, both those companies have a desired long-term interest in Top Rank.
Yeah,
I would argue that.
I would say for sure. I think ESPN would just be bad at it because ESPN is just bad, right? I don't know much about Endeavor, but I mean, they're in the combat sport industry, and obviously they've done pretty well. They have a lot of money. They've done fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
So that would probably be better long-term. Short-term, it would be better for ESPN because they could do what the Zone did at a higher level. They'll just throw a whole ton of money at people, and then that'll fly for 2 years until they see that it's not paying off, and then just cut it. You know what I'm saying? Like, Endeavor's going to have a more day-to-day interest in the growth of it because it's a larger portion of their business, right? ESPN, it's a tiny little fraction. It's a rounding error of what they do. So, yeah, they'll throw money at it, and then when they see it's not working, okay, cut it. You know what I'm saying? I would rather go to Endeavor than ESPN, but I think ESPN will want it just because they'll own the library that has Hagler Hearns, that has Ali Frazier. They would own all that. When they want to do a couple of years from now, Cotto versus Margarito, 30 for 30, they own it, right? Like,
oh my God,
right? Yeah. So I mean, it makes sense that both of them would want to buy it. Initially, it's better for ESPN until they find out that there's not much interest in boxing unless something drastically changes. But long term, I think I bet a home for it, 20 years out would be Endeavor. Does that make sense?
No, I agree completely. Let's touch on that a little bit because I'm not gonna play the clip or anything. I didn't make the clip of this, but Bob Arum talked a little bit about the industry and its health right now, and he's sort of echoed a lot of what we've said, Gary. But you said something right there that there's not a lot of interest in boxing, generally speaking, right? Unless it's a Canelo fight to some degree, and then again we're talking about certain areas of the country and certain areas of the world that are interested, not worldwide, right? If we're talking about Pacquiao, we're talking about AJ, again, same sort of topic, same sort of thing where, yes, there's interest there, but that's about it. The Mayweathers of the world, the Conor McGregors of the world. Like, there's interest in those combat sports athletes, but that's about it. I can name 5 people that are really superstars in combat sports, and that's, again, about it. I think it's safe to say back in the 80s, the 70s, and the 60s, that just wasn't the same. You had people fighting on ABC, CBS, NBC, fighting from 20, 30 million people at a time, 10 million people at a time. It was just a completely different paradigm. Is there a way for boxing to get to 10% of that era where, where an average, let's say an ESPN card, a Fox card, let's say an ESPN card, on average, every boxing card does at least 1 million views. That'd be amazing, right? Let's say on Fox, they on average do at least 2.5 million views, 3 million views on average.
There's certainly a path to get there, but it's long-term planning, right? You'd have to take things off of pay-per-view. You'd have to give me Spence versus Thurman, or Spence versus Porter, or Pacquiao versus Spence, or Spence versus on regular
Pacquiao Garcia.
Right. You'd have to give me those fights on regular TV on a consistent basis, right? And then put your second-tier boxing on ESPN, and Fox Sports 1. But ABC, like, free TV is going to have to be where it's at just to get fans in, just to put it in front of as many eyes as possible, and not a one-off, not just Thurman versus Garcia and then buy everything else on pay-per-view. It's going to, just like football, just like baseball, just like basketball, just like college football, you're going to have to give it to me over and over and over again, and a high-quality product over and over again to create that. Look, if you ask people, if you're just sitting at a bar and there's random games on. There's a fight on. There's a random basketball game on that's out of town, a random college football game, and a random baseball game. And you say, look about the fight. The crowd will watch the fight. The people, they won't know what they're watching. They won't know who's in the ring. But people like to watch violence, right? And they'll watch boxing. Boxing is the best sport to watch. If you don't believe me, next time you're at a baseball game and a fight breaks out in the crowd, where does everyone look? Right? They take their eyes off the baseball game and watch the fight. People like to watch fights, right? So when there's a good fight, people will watch it. But they need, I mean, it's going to take an investment. It's going to have to say, okay, we're going to take a little less on the short term to build this up and make it a staple in the American, in the American sports diet.
Is I agree with you completely. And this thing we talked about is, this is maybe a weird aspect, but is an issue with the boxing industry and that thought process that they have to take the short term or the short money for the long term investment, right? That a lot of these executives, promoters are now, let's be honest, 60 plus years old. Like they're advanced in age. Look at Bob Arum's way of talking. He wants to cash out, man. He doesn't give a fuck about the company anymore. He wants to cash out, really. That's kind of his rhetoric. Do we need a newer generation to come in, like, I don't know, smaller promoters, smaller people, like, guys like Dimitri Salita, guys that were fighters, guys that are a little more idealistic, I think, about promotion. Do they need to come in at a more of a higher level and start being more a force in the industry? Because otherwise, we never get to that point. We never get these promoters, these network execs taking short-term money for the long-term investment. And is that similar to politics degree, but like the older establishment in like certain political parties, right? Like they are so entrenched. We need almost a generational cycle, so to speak, for change to happen. And in politics, you can maybe argue that's happening right now. But Gary, thoughts on that there's this generational, I don't know, clash, so to speak. And that's why you have this holdout of this older class of people, this older class of corporatists and capitalists that don't want that change, don't want to invest in that change because they're more sort of interested in their pockets.
I want to, the easy answer is yes, younger people would be motivated for a bigger play. I don't know if that's the case because, like, if you look at all these young, like, hedge fund specialists, they're in for a short game. They want to load the company up with debt, take their profit, and bail on it, right? Which, again, it is what it is, right? The easy answer would be yes, but it all depends on the individual. And I want to make an analogy, right? When Kobe Bryant, and this is something Jordan Clarkson told a couple of weeks before Kobe died. Kobe's last year on the Lakers was 2016. So he's 36 years old. The Lakers are trash, and he's a fraction of himself, and he knows he's not coming back next year. Would shoot 500 jump shots, had to make 500 jump shots. So before warm-ups, he'd take an hour, go out an hour and a half to hit 500 shots before warm-ups. The only person on the team, so none of the younger guys had any interest in joining him except for Jordan Clarkson. Right? He said D'Angelo Russell intentionally walked out 5 minutes after warm-up start just to show Kobe that he wasn't doing that. Okay? But, I mean, Kobe's career was over, right? Like, his legacy is what it is. The Lakers aren't winning the championship this year. The season's over. But Kobe says, this is what I do, right? Jordan Clarkson was the only player who'd go out and shoot with him. So, I mean, I don't know if these guys, my point was, if these old guys want it to last forever, if they want to have their legacy, they want to have their company go on when they're gone, then it doesn't matter. Then they're going to do the best that they can for the long term. If they're talking like Bob Arum, I want a quick fix, I want my money, I want to go home, then that's how they're going to act. But, like, if fighters get involved, I think fighters have more of a love and a respect for the sport where they want to see it, last long term, as opposed to if some billionaire comes in and buys it and chops it up for parts. You know what I'm saying? There's no easy answer. It's all depends on the individual that buys it.
No, I agree with you, Gary. I'm just trying to theorize, is there a segment of the industry that we need to start pulling from to be more in positions of power? Is it people in media, people in manager roles? Is it fighters? Should fighters start being more in positions of power? But then again, look at Oscar and Floyd. You know, I see a path to correct the issue of boxing being a niche sport and no one taking the necessary steps to get there. No one wanting to actually, play together, so to speak, and work together to get there. I mean, if Bob Arum and Al Heyman decide, hey, you know what, let's just work together. Let's just start working together on every card. Like, imagine how that will look. Because that can happen. Where like fighters go to each card and they beef up the ESPN cards and the Fox cards. And Bob Arum and Al Heyman are sitting there saying, how do we get boxing back to a mainstream sport so everyone is eating better? Everyone's getting paid more.
It could happen on one phone call in a meeting, right? I mean, it's easy. I mean, companies do things like this all the time. Let's work together, right? I mean, they don't want to. I mean, it's not like it would be that difficult. It's fairly easy. Bob has Al's number, and Al has Bob's number, and they all have Eddie's number, so that like they can call each other up and say, let's work together. We'll rotate it. I'll have it on my network, but then you'll give me 2 of your undercard fighters, and then we'll flip it. I mean, this is not difficult, right? And then
to a degree, we have that with like mainstream sports. We have that with NFL, NBA, with networks, right? With going to ESPN, Fox, CBS. Like they spread the wealth, so to speak, so everyone makes money. Like this thought process that boxing has to be this segmented, infighting, tribal niche sport where no one likes and like none of the best fights happen because that's just the way it is. I think is so ignorant. Like it's such a ostrich way of thinking. Like you're sticking your head in the sand saying, nope, sorry, this is the way it is. And it's unfortunate that Bob Arum has that way of thinking. And I think a lot of other people in this industry have that way of thinking.
I wanted to ask you about that, right? This is like, if you're like on the history of the mafia, they say John Gotti ruined the mafia because he publicized it. He put it in front of everyone, right? Do you think there's that kind of mentality in boxing because it's so corrupt that these guys want it to be a little under the radar, a little niche, so that like we were talking about all the corruption that goes on in a weigh-in. Like if there were all these eyes on it, if it was baseball or football, like the whole world would see it and you wouldn't be able to get away with it. You know what I'm saying? It's like boxing fans don't care. They love boxing anyway. So let's just
1,000%, Gary. 1,000%. And in this same interview with Chris Mannix, he's asked about the YouTube fights with Logan Paul. And what do you think Bob Arum says? You think he hates it? No, of course not. You know why? Because he's put on bullshit fights like this, right? Like he's put on circus freak show things. So he says, hey, it's boxing. This isn't, I forget the exact words he used, but like this sport isn't for saints or something to that effect, right? This sport isn't for the holy and this sport isn't for the righteous. And it's like, cool, man. Like we get it. This sport is nasty. And then you have Chris Mannix going, haha, you're right, Bob. This sport is filled with awful people. And I think you're 100% right that there is all these people in power are making money, millions, while the system is corrupt, to use a very broad term, but completely destructured to the point where its inefficiencies are used against the sport itself, I think. Similar to like tax loopholes, like promoters will use loopholes to abuse the sport. Is the sport inherently corrupt? Yes and no. The system is bad. The system needs to be corrected. They don't want that system to be really put to light to be on the mainstream because then it would be treated and pushed to be better. There's a reason why you're going to have Gervonta Davis go into media blackout for a month and then come back up, resurface, start posting again, do like a seminar on some bullshit, and he's gonna be fine. And you're gonna get the Mayweather promotion of him and Leo Santa Cruz, 1,000%. And they want boxing to be kept a certain way because if it was the mainstream, that wouldn't fly. That wouldn't be able to happen in 2020. Imagine, Gary, like Saquon Barkley or Patrick Mahomes. Let's use Patrick Mahomes. A true prodigy in NFL in the NFL right now. If there was video of him picking up his wife by the throat and dragging her out of a place, do you think he would be playing in the Super Bowl?
No. And I want to address that. Absolutely not, right?
The league would come in and step in and say, no, we can't have this for PR perspective. We can't have this for our sponsorships, for our advertisers. No, we cannot have this. Boxing, unfortunately, says we don't care. And that's why we don't have the sponsors and advertisers that get us to the ABCs, the CBSs, and NBCs of the world. We need those advertisers and sponsors to get us to those free TV channels. We don't have them because we accept bullshit. And to your point, Gary, corruption as a whole as well.
And I want to address that because I had met Uraldis Chapman at the Ugas fight, right? And Chapman went through a thing where he hit his wife or girlfriend or whatever it was at the time. I think they're married now. But he didn't just hit her. He didn't shoot at her. Apparently, he shot a warning shot in her vicinity to show her that he wasn't messing around. And he was suspended for 60 games, right? Like, she dropped all the charges, and he admitted to it, right? I don't want Tank Davis to never be able to fight again. That's not what I want. But you have to show me some type of repentance. Don't come out and be like, oh, what's the big deal? Like, I didn't do anything that bad. Acknowledge what you did was wrong and horrible and grow from it and show me that you've grown from it. And look, I'm a Christian. I'm a forgiving person. Like, but there needs to be some type of repentance. Like, if you punch me in the face and say, hey, I shouldn't have done that,
you're more likely to forgive that person.
I won't forgive you. But if you're going to come out and say, I didn't do anything that bad, what are you making a big deal about it? I wouldn't hit her when you did hit her. Like, guy, no. Like, you have to own what you did and grow from it. Like, I'm not going to say it's a scarlet letter that you have to wear for the rest of your life and you can never work again. That's not what I want, right? I want him to be able to grow from this and have a life again, but he needs to like learn a lesson and understand that what he did was wrong and improve upon himself.
No, I absolutely agree, Gary. I mean, you took all my words. I mean, the Gervonta Davis video we did either 2 days ago or the show we did the other day, talking about it as well, his rest. I mean, I'm going to probably clip that out tomorrow or later today as well. We said that. Like, it's like, I'm not here for like the cancel culture thing. Like, I'm not like, I might be an SJW socialist, Marxist, or whatever you want to call me, but like, cancel culture is bullshit. Like, people mess up, and people mess up big time. Like, hitting women, like that's a thing that people have done for a long time throughout human history. Why? Because we live in a patriarchal society that has abused women for long amounts of time. Women were the last people that were allowed to vote in this country, for fuck's sake. Like, I mean, abuse towards women is just commonplace to the point where it's sad. We have to work towards fixing that and correcting it. Canceling everyone, whatever that means, is not what is materially important here. Like, we need people to understand what they're doing is wrong, repent, like you said, ask for forgiveness, work towards correcting that issue, and correct the issue. And then we forgive you. We accept you back into society. Like, if anything, society is quite forgiving of people.
Like, we can go on. There's plenty of guys who have done egregious things, who have bettered themselves and shown us that they've bettered themselves, and it's a pretty forgiving. Like, America's kind of the land of second chances, right? Like, so I mean, used to be. That's kind of the idea of the C student get to go over and have a second chance somewhere. Like, I'll retry over there. Like, I mean, if people honestly better themselves and admit that they've done something terrible, and I want to grow from this and I want to put this behind me and grow from it, more power to you. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's move on, Gary, because we've been talking about this for a while. I just realized we've been talking about this for an hour. Holy shit. Actually, not an hour. We've been on only for like 40 minutes. So that's still a long ass time. And a lot of people in the chat talking about Top Rank, sort of digressing back to Top Rank. So the idea of PBC buying out Top Rank. And like, that would be good for boxing to have more people housed in one place. And the idea of like even Endeavor coming in and buying out both and then having more of a conglomerate there. Look, there's obviously benefits to that. Like, the sport does need to be streamlined to a significant degree. However, as it's currently constituted, if these promotional companies or pseudo promotional companies in terms of PBC just started morphing into one, the issues of boxing don't go away. They might even be exasperated in some degree. Like they might even be pushed to a more of a significant issue. People trying to make comparisons to like the UFC and saying like if boxing was like the UFC would be better. Like, look, the UFC is currently going through several lawsuits. One of them being a massive antitrust lawsuit because of its monopsony power. And if you don't know what that is, check out some of our videos. If you want to find them really quickly, our featured video playlist at the very top of our YouTube page. Scroll down on that playlist. Some of our videos on that topic are in there, and I go in depth on that. So check it out. I mean, for example, boxers on average get paid 60 to 70% of the revenue of an event. UFC fighters get paid 20%. The reason why, in large aspect, they get paid so little is because the UFC has such a monopsony power in the negotiation room. And the idea of getting rid of the sanctioning bodies outright and a PBC top-rank hybrid owning the titles, that also, I think, is not A, legal, and B, something that will benefit the sport. I do think the titles and rankings need to be separate from promotional companies and networks as well. What does that look like? What that league apparatus, sanctioning body apparatus looks like? Maybe that's a topic for another time. But again, saying boxing needs to be the UFC is not an end-all, be-all discussion. Are there things about the UFC that would be awesome in boxing? Absolutely. But MMA and the UFC as a whole, as a promotional company, have significant issues that are different from boxing that also can't be sort of copied from the sport as well and put into boxing. So it's just a bad comparison, in my opinion. Moving on, Gary, unless you have anything else to say. Let's talk about Mike Coppinger telling us something that we already know and been talking about for months now. Sources: Oscar De La Hoya recently claimed his, quote, working relationship with Canelo is amazing, end quote, and that he plans to meet with Alvarez camp in Mexico to discuss his May 2nd fight. Mike Coppinger says, in fact, Canelo still isn't on speaking terms with Oscar. They communicate strictly through lawyers.
Shit happens, man.
Ah, man. Damn. And this is obviously something that we know for a long time. This is something that we reported back in October, and Mike Coppinger's reporting and Lance Pugmire's reporting, from Canelo asking Golden Boy to open the books, etc. Gary, thoughts on Oscar thinking that saying out loud publicly, as he probably should. I mean, just for a PR perspective, he probably should be out there saying, yeah, me and Canelo are great. If he went out there and said, yeah, me and Canelo are not talking, I think that would present a lot of issues from just a PR perspective. But Oscar out there saying, everything's fine, everything's great. And the reporting being, no, these guys are not talking to each other at all and only talking through lawyers. Gary, thoughts?
This is... You're right. Like, he's got to say, what he's going to say is awful. Like, he doesn't talk to me. But this is like...
Quickly on that, there's a political way to go about saying, hey, me and Canelo are having issues right now, but we're working through that. But it's Oscar. There's no way he can, eloquate that to any sort of degree. Like, he can't articulate that. No. Like, it's Oscar.
This is like when you score a girl who's so far over your head and you know she's going to break up with you, so you just avoid her so she can't break up with you. That's what he's doing here. If I don't talk to her, she can't break up with me. So I'm just going to send my lawyers to go talk to him because he can't break up with me if I don't see him. Like, I mean, he knows this is on the end. He knows he's not really. I don't want to. He's had a lot of personal issues. He's been in a lot of tough fights. I don't know if he has the capacity to do this anymore. I met him. I talked to him briefly at the Munguia fight. He repeats himself a lot. He shakes a lot. I don't know if he can still do this. And he knows if he loses Canelo, it's kind of over for him. He can't afford to lose Canelo right now. So, like, he's not going to try to rock the boat in any way. Or maybe he will because he doesn't care. I don't know. But it seems like he's just trying to avoid the inevitable for as long as possible.
He needs help. he needs a lot of help, man. Like I know like we kind of like joke and like laugh at times about Oscar, and like I get like sometimes it is humorous, but on a truly human level, like I feel bad for the guy. Like clearly the guy is not well. There was a guy in my life, sort of dad's friend, uncle figure, so to speak, right? And he had a lot of substance issues. You know, he had a traumatic head injury as well, and he kind of went off the deep end and kind of just, went missing, so to speak. We never heard from him again. I get a lot of those vibes from Oscar, where it's like, man, if he wasn't a millionaire, there's probably an entourage around him of assistants making sure he's alive and doing things right. He would be off in the wind, in my opinion. Like, I really am concerned about his mental health, his overall health, physically speaking, from just substance abuse. Like, I worry about him. I'll be honest. Like the guy is clearly unwell. Let alone the boxing issues and the issues with him and Canelo, with which I can't even begin to like try to theorize like how can Oscar amend this issue and get him and Canelo on a speaking basis again, and how can Golden Boy right the ship, because clearly it's hit the iceberg. It is sinking. You know, it has been broken in two now, and it's just slowly falling to its death in the ocean abyss. That's what we're seeing right now with Golden Boy, and it's largely due to Oscar's own health. And again, that is truly tragic. And I only hope the best for him. And I only hope he gets help. Like the fact that someone hasn't stepped in and said, dude, you need help. And maybe they have. And he's either been like pushed them away or whatever. Like that does happen. But he needs help. And, issues with the Canelo beside, I feel bad for the guy. Gary?
How much do you think day-to-day influence does he have over Golden Boy? Do you think
Not much. I think Eric Gomez and what's the matchmaker's name? We always forget his name. Ortiz, right? It's Richard Ortiz.
Yeah, Ortiz. We'll go with yeah. Yeah.
Roberto Ortiz.
I was gonna say Robert Ortiz. Roberto Ortiz. That sounds right. Yeah.
Sure. It might be Robert. I'm gonna add Roberto to give it a little spice.
Okay.
I think they run the day-to-day of the company, 1,000%. And also, I forget who some of his publicists are. They do a lot of work too. Like being at Golden Boy events. If you know his publicists, they are running around working for that company.
I'm just wondering if Canelo bought himself out of that contract and he could fight, start start Canelo Promotions, and he's got to fight on the zone for the rest of that contract, but paid himself out of the Golden Boy contract, right? And whatever that was, that would be a big chunk of change. They pay Oscar off. Oscar, here, take this amount of millions, go away, and then me, Eric Gomez and Robert Ortiz, we're gonna run Golden Boy. I mean, you can still have your name on it and everything, but just basically sit in office and we'll run this. I mean, do you think like that's a better option for him? Because right now they're just sitting.
Yeah. No, absolutely, Gary. I think it is a better option. On top of it, I will add what I would like to see. What if I am, playing God here? What I would like to see in boxing in this situation, instead of Canelo buy out his contract and make his own promotional company, why not with some investors buy Golden Boy? Why? Like if I'm Canelo, look, you got the brand awareness, you got, I think, the power in the sport now, where if you, let's say, approached the zone and said, behind Oscar's back even, and said, let's have a hostile takeover of Golden Boy, you don't think the zone would back Canelo 110%? Do you not think even like people like Eric Gomez and Robert Ortiz would be like, yeah, sure, yes, I want to do that. I will go with you, Canelo. Sorry, Oscar. If I'm Canelo, I'm planning that move. I'm buying out Golden Boy because it's probably not worth as much as I think it is, and probably what Oscar thinks it is. You know what I mean? Like it's definitely not as worth as much as Top Rank is from the fight library perspective alone. I would. That's what I would be looking at, and that would be something that, in terms of Golden Boy's long-term future, that would make me think that all of a sudden Golden Boy can turn it around as a company. There's a new face in control of it, a new president, and it's Canelo Alvarez. You know, the next generation of Golden Boy is now in charge of it. I would love that. Gary?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's the one guy in boxing who would have the appeal and the money and the funds to what if Floyd won it?
Dude, why would you? That's so messed up. Quickly, Floyd would do that from a petty perspective. Just saying.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, no. If that's something Canelo wanted to do, that would be great for Golden. It would give it new energy, a new face. Let's do that.
I'm all for that. Yes, let's do that.
Canelo have any interest in that though?
Adrian Rihanna, dude, Golden Boy is Oscar. You guys never say Heyman stole Golden Boy's stock. Well, yeah, they did that because Oscar was in rehab at the time, man. Like, people forget this, that like when the Richard Schaefer and all that situation happened, Oscar was in the middle of going in and out of rehab, wasn't even showing up to Mayweather Canelo press events. Didn't even show up to the fight, I want to say, right?
Yeah.
I think he was in rehab at the time, actually. If a bunch of those fighters got out of their contract, yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and like feel bad for Oscar on that aspect and say like, how dare PBC do that? Like, the company wasn't being run by anyone at the time. Fuck, go to somebody that's going to run a company. And at that time, it became PBC, Al Heyman, Richard Schaefer to some degree. I have no issue with that. And maybe that's controversial, but like, what else were those fighters going to do? And also, how did Eric Gomez and people around Oscar not figure out that was happening? Like, that's pure incompetence from everyone that's still at Golden Boy that allowed that to happen. So I don't really feel bad. And I'm also not going to like point fingers and like, go on a hill and say, how dare PBC do that? Like, fuck, who cares? On the long issues of boxing, that overnight sort of massacre of Golden Boy is not one of them. It's not one of the big issues in boxing, period. Gary, I don't know if you want to touch on that.
Oh, no.
We can move on. Let's talk about a fight that's official now. Daniel Dubois, Joyce are putting on a heavyweight firefight at the O2 and on BT Sports box office. They also were on Good Morning. Is it Britain? Yeah, Good Morning Britain this morning in the UK. Let's play a little clip from this, and I hope it can play because this stuff. The issues with StreamYard, man. We gotta find a new thing. I'm telling you, Gary, it's been frustrating me. Or I need to get my internet fixed because Frontier has been driving past my house and just not stopping.
Just gonna put it this way: I'm gonna put Joe to sleep, and
come on, stupid internet. Sorry.
Yeah, you're gonna try. Bag. You're gonna try, mate.
Bring your sleeping bag, Joe, because you're going to sleep.
I'm not gonna play it. Fuck it. Anyways, Daniel Dubois was on there and said, "I'm gonna put you to sleep, Joe. Bring your sleeping bag." Thought that was funny from a guy that doesn't have any humor or personality. And plus, the other clips I saw from that were a little bit rough because those guys aren't the most personal people. But great marketing, great promotion for this pay-per-view. Also, it being $25.99, most likely the new price of pay-per-view. Let's briefly talk about that as well. Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury is also going to be that new price, £24.95 pounds in the UK for the pay-per-view. Everyone in the UK, all of our listeners and watchers on YouTube, that's the new precedent, guys. That's the new pay-per-view mark. it happened. It's been happening to us for the last 20, 30 years. The price point for pay-per-view has been going up. It's happened to you guys. Sorry. But Gary, thoughts on Dubois Joyce being official? Thoughts on the pay-per-view hike that we're seeing now in the UK and that being the new standard? And also, Ruby's and Matt, is the fight on ESPN Plus? Yes. Yes. I don't think it's official yet, but all signs point that way.
You know that line about getting your sleeping bag ready? That was rehearsed. Like, and they're like, hey, I got this great idea. Everyone makes fun of you because you don't have a personality. Say this. And they practiced it, and he got it right. Good job.
I can play the clip because Joe Joyce tried coming back, and he just like stumbled. It was bad. And like, look, I stumble on my words all the time. Like, it's like no shot at him for that. But damn, Good Morning Britain, and you're just fucking up. It must be so embarrassing.
I wish Rob was here to kind of gauge this. Like, how big of a star is Dubois already over there? That this is $24.95 on, because this is two prospects. I understand Joe Joyce is an Olympian, so he probably has a bigger following. But this is two prospects fighting each other on a pay-per-view fight. Like, how big of a star is Dubois that they think this can sell? I love the fight. I think Dubois destroys him. I think this is another coming out party for Dubois to say he's at that even next level. But I love the fight. I just didn't know that this would have that kind of appeal that they could make it a pay-per-view between two prospects.
No, I agree. I don't think that Dubois is any sort of star. I think that the money for this fight is probably demanding it to be pay-per-view to some fashion. Two, I think, honestly speaking, Queensberry Promotions is losing money. They've lost money, I think, now 3 years in a row or 2 years in a row. So they need to turn it around. In some fashion, I think that there's matchmaking with guys like Josh Warrington to a degree. Obviously Dubois, sort of fast tracking him with Gorman, now Joyce. I think that is an attempt to turn things around, to create a new star, create new interest in the company, and to create some money. And on top of it, pay-per-views, I think, is sort of a anti-consumer way of increasing your short-term profits in a year. I think that's what they're trying to do here. They're trying to turn around, losing money year after year after year now. And Dubois being the next big star is part of that plan, and B, him being successful on pay-per-view is part of that plan. I would say. Gary?
And this is why I was asking Rob, how high can his star rise, Dubois, right? Because the talent's all there, but does he have everything else that can make him a star like AJ has?
Rob would say no. I would say if he beats AJ, he's a superstar.
Right? Because
that's all he needs. He needs to beat AJ. If he beats AJ, he is a superstar in the UK. If he beats Tyson Fury, I think he's a relative superstar in the UK as well.
Right, like Evander Holyfield didn't have the same star power that Mike Tyson had, because Mike Tyson would say crazy things, do crazy things, and knock everyone's head off. But then Holyfield just beat Mike Tyson, so Holyfield was a star. You know what I'm saying? And if Dubois can be close to the star AJ is monetarily, well, Queensberry's saved. You know what I'm saying? It's like Golden Boy having Canelo. We're fine. We have this one star in the heavyweight division who knocks everybody out, and he's gonna make me $20 million every time he gets in the ring. We're fine. So that's a lot on Dubois, but it's like watching Zion Williamson. The talent is all there, right? It's like, how great is he going to be? We know he's going to be great, but how great? That's the only question there is with Dubois. I mean, I've never been this high on a heavyweight prospect ever.
No, I agree. I agree with everything you're saying. Quickly, oh my God, Gary, who have you brought on to listen to my show, man? Darkness Has Fallen in the chat. Just a weird name. I think Golden Boy has the next superstar in the making, and his name is Virgil Ortiz. He'll be the one to replace Canelo after he retires. And now Rabisky is saying that's Ryan Garcia, and they're having a little argument in the chat. Look, and also they're saying which one's going to be the next Victor Ortiz. Hilarious. I like how that's now a thing. Which Golden Boy prospect's going to be the next Victor Ortiz? Love that. What's Virgil Ortiz's TV numbers in Mexico? Oh, nothing? Non-existent? Okay. What are his TV numbers on DAZN? Oh, it's not on TV? What are his numbers on DAZN? Oh, we don't know. Oh, they're probably trash. Oh, okay. Yeah. Next star, right.
It's a process, Matt. Once he knocks out Crawford and knocks out Thurman, knocks out Pacquiao, he'll be a star. Just like you, the logic you just applied to Dubois, now apply that to Virgil Ortiz.
I'll put it this way. I never see Virgil Ortiz, even if he beats all those guys, being a superstar. I just don't. Because none of those guys are superstars you just mentioned.
Pacquiao.
He's never fighting Pacquiao, bro. Like, he's never fighting Pacquiao. And even then, like, Pacquiao's star power, I think, is not the same anymore as it used to be. You know, if Pacquiao fought Thurman in 2009 and we had, like, you know, this version of Thurman back then, you know what I mean? Like, there's some sort of comparison. It would have done 1 million buys, and now it did 500,000. I don't know if even that would make Ortiz a superstar. Being a superstar is hard. Like I said, there's 5 people in all of combat sports we can argue are superstars. There's still an argument that they're not. Think about that.
Well, if you're counting Floyd, Floyd's not in the sport anymore, to be fair, right? So take him out. So then you really have Canelo, Pacquiao, Conor McGregor. Who else would you put as a superstar?
AJ?
Okay, AJ, sure. That's
Yeah.
4. And then you were saying Mayweather was the 5th? Is that?
Yeah.
Okay, he's retired. But okay, yeah.
No. I agree he's retired, but I'm just saying, like, that's who, like, Mayweather come back right now and fight fucking Josito Lopez.
He'll do 1 million, yeah.
Not 1 million, but he would do, 400,000 buys.
I think 1 million just because it's Floyd, and like he could lose now because he's 43, and everyone who hates him is going to want to see him lose. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying he would lose to Josito Lopez, but like the guy hasn't had a real fight in 5 years. I don't know. Maybe he'd lose.
Maybe it does a lot because he has now become like a luxury item to a degree. Like his fights, when before, like let's say like the Berto fight, which is like 480,000 buys, 450,000 buys. That was right after the Pacquiao fight. It's like we were oversaturated a little bit with bad Mayweather fights. You know what I mean? But digressing, I'm sorry. Like Golden Boy has no one on their stable right now that A, has an easy path to stardom, or B, I can even see being a superstar next. And usually speaking, the superstars kind of come out of nowhere. Like Canelo all of a sudden was a 16, 17, 18-year-old fighter doing millions of views in Mexico. And I forget the promotion he was with at the time. And Golden Boy came in and swooped him up. Pacquiao came in, and all of a sudden was just being a dynamic knockout machine. And HBO decided to push all the fucking buttons on him with big Mexican fighters. All of a sudden, he became a superstar. And then that obviously add in Oscar De La Hoya superstar fight with Pacquiao, with Mayweather. Those made those guys superstars. They fought another superstar. So, sorry, like Virgil Ortiz, like there's nothing for that guy to be a superstar. There's no path to it at this time.
If you would have asked me like 2 years ago who I think has the path to be the next superstar in American boxing, I would have said Jamal Charlo because you can have a fight with Golovkin, which would do well. And then you can have ultimately that would lead up to a fight with Canelo. Could he win those 2 fights? Look what you just did. Now you'd have to win those 2 fights, but that would be the clearest path to the next American superstar. Now his career is it's stalled out for the time being. But like it's got to go through that path, right? Like Floyd Mayweather became a superstar off of De La Hoya. Holyfield became a superstar off of Tyson. Lewis became a superstar off of Tyson, right? Like you have to go through the superstar to be the superstar. Pacquiao went through De La Hoya. You have to put it in front of everyone, and there's only a handful of guys who can do that. And Pacquiao, beating Pacquiao now, does that make you a superstar? No, because they'll just say Pacquiao was too old. You know what I'm saying?
Like think about it. Thurman got the decision nod. Would we be over here sitting here saying that Keith Thurman is now a superstar in boxing? I don't think.
Yeah.
We would say that he's probably still around the same level of star power, which is a decent level of star power, but not superstar. It's a different stratosphere, man. It is so hard to be a superstar. I think people think things are just too easy in time. Like I had someone in our comment section for that video from Keith Thurman about him being 192 pounds saying that, oh, he can cut that 50 pounds, no issue. He's 31 years old. He's still in his prime. It's nothing for a guy to do that. And I'm sitting there thinking, holy shit, this person actually thinks like athletes can just drop 25% of their weight like it's nothing, and that have no side effects, that not affect their performance at all when they come back. Like, I honestly can't believe somebody thinks that, but people are stupid.
Do you know the effects on your heart that does gaining and dropping 50 pounds like that? God, you said 50. You didn't say 15. You said 50, bro. You gain 50 pounds and then lose 50 pounds and gain it back and see the impact that has on your heart. It's not good for you, right? Like everything works differently when you're 50. You just said lose 25% of his body weight. Like, you think that's easy? I mean, look, he can do it because he's an incredible athlete, but that doesn't make it good for you and it doesn't make it easy. Can he do it? Yes, he could probably do it. But it's not good for you. It's not easy.
No, I absolutely agree. Robisky saying, I agree, Matt. He's a huge Puerto Rican fan. He's Puerto Rican, and I think New York and the tri-state area, I want to say Robisky is. He's saying Miguel Cotto was a star, but not a superstar. Of course, you brought up Miguel Cotto, Robisky. Of course you did. But you're right. Miguel Cotto was not a superstar. He was just sort of a star. You know, he was a guy that back then we would call a what would be the term? God, I'm losing it right now. A middle class pay-per-view draw.
I would say Cotto was a superstar in Puerto Rico and New York, and then he was a good name, a big name elsewhere, everywhere else.
But that means nothing to me.
Yeah, sure.
Like Jose Ramirez is a superstar in Fresno.
Okay, New York City, a little bit bigger than Fresno. I understand your point. I get your point. Terrence Crawford, superstar in Omaha. Oh. I get it. I get it. New York's a little bit bigger than Fresno. It's a little bigger.
Yeah, think about it. There's a lot of top-ranked fighters that they're just kind of superstars in one fucking city. It's smart. Like you can really like make a career out of that, but it's not being a superstar, man. Miguel Cotto, he had certain fights, obviously with Pacquiao and Mayweather. If he had won those fights, the conversation about Miguel Cotto becomes different. I think he would have become a superstar. He had the look. He had the background. He had the style of fighting. Like, he had a lot. He was bilingual, too. Like, he had a lot going for him. He just lost those fights. And then on the rebound from those fights, I would argue, never really bounced back truly to beat A-level guys. You know, maybe, you know, like the Margaritos, but like he would lose to like Austin Trout. Like he would lose certain fights where it would really affect him in the in-between of those big fights. Canelo, is from Mexico, just a bigger market than Puerto Rico. Just a massive market compared to Puerto Rico. That's just factual. He, post-Mayweather, hasn't lost since. He's beaten Miguel Cotto. You know, another big fight that Cotto had that if he had won, maybe he's a different, you know, we talk about him in different light. But he didn't. Canelo won that fight. Canelo has won against Ronnie Lara. Canelo has beaten Triple G in the rematch. Like, Canelo has won certain fights to not erase that loss to Mayweather, but mean that it's more of a positive than a negative now, so to speak. Similar, not to the same degree, but just in terms of turning a loss to a positive to some fashion, like Charlo Williams. Like, Williams post that fight has added more value to that win for Charlo and for the fight itself to a degree, both for Williams and Charlo, than previously thought. You know, Lube and Charlo, same sort of degree.
I wanted to add one thing. You said that Canelo beat Lara. Canelo got a decision victory over Lara. He certainly didn't beat Lara.
Okay, it's a semantics game, but okay, cool. I thought he won the fight.
I had it like 9-3 or something like that for Lara.
Lara didn't do anything, man. He didn't do anything. You can't win a fight without landing a punch. And at least Canelo landed some body work.
Side, like, meaningless shots. Like, Lara out jabbed him. Lara beat him from range, and then they did nothing.
Body shots, in my opinion, are always more important than a jab. If I land a body shot on you and you land a jab on me, my body shot counts more than your jab. Sorry. I feel like that should be obvious.
Okay, are we in a clinch where there's no leverage on this shot, or is it a clean? If it's a clean body shot, I absolutely agree.
Look, throw out all the context, is it this type of jab? Is it this type of body shot? Doesn't matter. A body shot counts more than a jab on average, generally speaking.
On average, I agree. Yes.
Okay, there you go. That's why. I didn't think we were getting into a Laura Canelo argument in 2020, but here we are. Let's get into a different topic here, Gary. One that I know that you want to talk about, and we're an hour 36 into the show, or an hour actually, what? Only an hour 13 into the show. So let's get into this Adrian Broner, Devin Haney beef. Oh my God, so good. First up, let's present how this started. Devin Haney was, or is, I don't know if he still is, but I think he was in Miami with Floyd Mayweather. And then while he's in Miami with Floyd Mayweather, posted a picture of him and Adrian Broner saying, how many people would watch us fight at a catchweight? Devil face emoji. Broner responds, Devin Haney, you've seen me a million times and was all, what's up, big bro? Now you hang with Floyd for one day and he manipulates you into being a word I cannot say. Stop clout chasing and master your craft before you make me. Hashtag 5 times. P.S. I ain't pay my taxes. I'm too turned up. Adrian Broner, they tried to turn AB into MJ and have me touch this kid. God, Adrian Broner, I fucking hate you. And then Eddie Hearn posting this little screenshot of a DM from Adrian Broner saying, listen, man, give me $20 million. I will make 135 and knock Devin Haney the fuck out. Eddie Hearn responding, forget the 20 and you aren't making 135. But if you want to talk, Adrian Broner, my man, Devin Haney said, name your weight, and he's ready to go. Gary, I know you had a lot of thoughts on this. I'll let you go first. Thoughts on Broner, Haney, on DAZN, 135, 20 million, all of this.
20 million. Me and Matt were talking. This is becoming the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim of boxing. Like everyone gets 20 million. Oh, you want to fight? Here's 20 million. Like 20 million. How many fighters in the history of boxing have ever made 20 million for one night's work? There's a handful of them. Okay. I'm into the fight. Like I always said, look, Broner undeniably has gifts. Okay. He can't do it at 47 and he can't do it at 40. Can we get him down to 35? Because he had success there. If he was disciplined and we got him on a diet regimen and we could get him down to 35, he only weighed 138 for the Mikey Garcia fight. That's 3 more pounds. That could be a lot, or maybe it's not so much. You know, I don't know. I would like to see the fight. I think it's good for Haney. It could be a star-making moment for Haney. Should Haney stop him? I don't think he stops him, but he could. And it's like it's one last shot for Broner. Here you go, Broner. One last shot. Beat Haney. Redeem yourself. And he wouldn't. But then, like, Haney would beat him up. It would be good for Haney. And Haney's got everything you want in a superstar, right? Like, he's talented. He's smart. He's good looking. He's got everything you want in a superstar. Put him in front of all those people. How many people watch a Broner fight? It's great for Broner. It's one last chance for Broner. It's great for Haney. And obviously, it's great for DAZN. And, like, I know we love to clown on Broner. But, like, do you guys think if he could get back down to 135, where he beat DeMarco all those years ago, could he have success there?
No. Why? No. Adrian Broner loses to everyone in the top 20 at 135, 140, and 147 right now.
40 and 47, I agree. At 35, can he be a top 10 guy?
No.
Can he beat Gamboa?
Yeah, coming off the Achilles.
Could he beat Fortuna?
No.
Okay.
I don't think he could beat Fortuna. Just being honest. Not anymore. I'm talking about a guy that doesn't fight anymore. I'm talking about a guy that can't make that weight. No, I don't. Even if he did make the weight, I don't think he would come in any sort of healthy shape. No. Adrian Broner is now at a stage where he's used in some fashion for these types of fights. You want to get Devin Haney over with a guy like Adrian Broner, who's kind of like a Miguel Cotto level star. Like Adrian Broner could have been doing pay-per-views for a long time and been, doing 250,000 buys plus. You honestly could. Like I'm shocked they haven't used him more for pay-per-views, but that's beside the point. I get why he's in these types of fights, but he's only in these types of fights to lose because he is no longer what he was. And even when he was what he wasn't that great. I mean, he was a guy that barely scraped by Paulie Malignaggi. Like he's a guy that barely scraped by Adrian Granados. You know what I mean? Like he's a guy that has never been the best in any division ever. Bastard J, oh my god, I love it, dude. So many trolls in the chat right now. Scott Brown earlier said Golden Boy's next star is Hector Tenohara. I laughed my ass off when I saw that. And Faster J is saying Adrian Broner beats Virgil Ortiz. Look, he doesn't. And that's sort of indicative of where Adrian Broner's at. So Gary, I know you're interested in the fight. I'm interested in it from like a car crash perspective, right? Like for those who don't understand the analogy, like people will stand there and watch a car crash happen because it's like they're just the horrific intrigue, so to speak, of it. Like that's kind of what I have with any sort of Adrian Broner fight moving forward. That the sort of morbid curiosity of what is happening. Like, oh shit, it's an Adrian Broner fight. Let's see what bullshit happens here. Almost like hate watching. Similar to like the YouTube fights. Not the same. It's not one-to-one analog, but YouTube fights, I kind of hate watching with the morbid curiosity of like, I want to see what bullshit happens. I want to see what happens so I can make fun of it. And that's kind of what I'm curious about with Broner moving forward. Gary.
Again, I don't think Broner could beat Haney. I don't think he could beat TFE, and obviously he couldn't beat Lomachenko. What are the other names at 35? But like, I don't know. Campbell, I don't think he could beat Campbell. It's gonna be tough, right? But like, if he's gonna have another run, it can only be at 35. And I'm not saying that he can, but I'm saying his best weight I thought was 35.
That's true. His best weight was at 35. Was he good enough at his best weight to beat these top guys? Nope.
Not the top, right? But like anyone below the top, like I said, could he be a top 10 guy? All right. The top 10 guy probably can't be the 1, 2, and 3 guy, but he's gonna be really competitive with everybody else. So I don't know.
Cool. Like Broner's out there making like MJ, Michael Jackson, like I'm gonna touch kids jokes. Like I just like Adrian Broner's just a disgusting human being. Like I don't find him interesting. I don't find him entertaining. Like again, I hate watch the guy. I watch him to make fun of him. And also don't like rate him highly as a fighter. He's a guy that doesn't throw punches. He doesn't use his feet. He doesn't slip shots. He's a guy that just stands there with a high guard nowadays. That's what he does. He doesn't even use a Philly shell anymore. He literally just does this and just eats shots. Like, I don't want to see that. Like, no. Broner versus Jared Enos. Jared Enos would destroy.
I think that's right. Like, I think Jared Enos, I think Rashidi Ellis, those aren't top ranked guys, but like those are the guys that he should fight. Like, because people will watch it, and then you get to have your star shine. Enos, Virgil Ortiz. Like, if they could get
not your star shine, your prospect shine.
Your prospect to shine, right? I think that's good. I think people are still going to tune into Broner because they like to see him get beat up. It's like if we can get Margarito to come back, let's put Margarito in the ring. People love to watch Margarito get beat up.
But look, I'll be honest here. I'd rather have Devin Haney fight someone that's fucking legitimate. Think about it. We're talking about a guy that hasn't fought anyone in the top 10 yet. And then go and, get a big money fight with Adrian Broner and shrink him down to 135 or catch rate of 140 or 144, whatever it is, and go beat him up because you can do that if you just throw enough hands. I mean, well, cool, I guess, but like I want you to fight legitimate competition now. Haney, you got a belt. Now you're a champion in recess because you're in injury. Like, so are you not going to fight the Campbell Fortuna winner and just fight Broner? Like, I don't want that. Do you want that, Gary? Like, I'd rather have Haney out there fighting top 5 competition, top 10 competition. And Broner doesn't really fit that right now.
Just from like as a hardcore, yes, I'd rather have him fight someone in the top 10 at 135. To make him a star, which he could be a star. Like, we're talking about superstars. Who could be the next superstar? It could be Haney. Broner makes more sense because Broner, it's going to put more eyes on it if it's Broner, and then he's going to beat Broner up. Like, I don't want to. It wouldn't be the first fight I would make, although I'm okay with the fight. It's good. It's good for Haney. It is. Like, there's going to be more eyes on it than him beating up on. If he fought Ricky Burns, what would bring in more eyes? Ricky Burns or Adrian Broner?
Look, I understand the argument that obviously Adrian Broner has more money. I made that argument already. I don't care. I specifically said I don't care about that. I'd rather have Devin Haney fight elite competition. And guess what? This sort of falls back to our conversation earlier, Gary, about taking a short-term loss for the long-term investment, right? A Broner fight is the exact opposite of that. It's the exact opposite of doing it the right way, in my opinion. Maybe you might disagree on that, but I think you can make Devin Haney a star, whatever, by fighting elite competition instead and pushing that. Maybe there's a conversation about you can't be a superstar in the zone, and that's a separate conversation. But you have him fight the winner of Campbell and Fortuna in August or September, whenever he gets back from his injury. You have him fight the winner of Lomachenko Lopez first quarter of next year. And then if you win those fights, you're a fucking star. Right? You're the lightweight king. You beat Lomachenko or Teofimo Lopez, whoever's the king at ESPN. And I would presume you would go to ESPN for those fights as well. You would be on ESPN Network and fight Lomachenko, fight Teofimo Lopez to make that fight because you're not the A side in that conversation. Okay, then you're on TV. Then, the issues of DAZN making stars isn't one of them. You're on ESPN fighting Lomachenko, for fuck's sake. You can become a superstar that way, and guess what? You actually create a legacy that way. Beating Broner is a con man's grifter's way of trying to create a superstar. It's what somebody does that doesn't know boxing, trying to make a superstar, in my opinion. Because if you know boxing, you don't need to do this shit. You can go without it if you go the right way. And Devin Haney is young enough. I think he is aware enough that he can go the right way, which is just laid out, and become a superstar in the lightweight division.
Here's my problem. I don't know that Devin Haney has superstar skills. He's good. He's a superstar athlete.
I don't care about that.
So you kind of have to manufacture a superstar. And look, he's good enough where he can win a belts and stuff like that.
I don't think that's true, Gary. I don't think you need to manufacture him in a way like Ryan Garcia, for example.
He's better than Ryan Garcia.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't think it's out of the question that Devin Haney beats the winner of Campbell Fortuna.
No, it's not out of the question. He could.
Like, I'd probably actually pick him to win that fight. I would pick him to figure it out. He's young enough. He's improving fight to fight. He's going to figure it out. I'm picking the youth there. Now, Lomachenko is a different story, but like I stated with Canelo, look, if you have a big enough base, and Devin Haney does, Devin Haney is well known enough already. Okay, the guy gets featured on TMZ and Shade Room all the time. The guy is well known enough. Okay, that if he bounces back from a Lomachenko loss and then takes a Broner fight, or then takes whatever, right? Then has his path back to relevance. He's still fine. He can still be a superstar. So why not go the right way first?
So if he beat Campbell or Fortuna, let's say. I'm picking Campbell to win that fight, so let's go with Campbell. And Tiafimo, I'm playing what if here. Tiafimo beat Loma. You could have those guys square up at 21, 22 years old. Like, you know what? Much fun that would be. Like, this is, that's just going to be the first chapter. And they're going to meet again at 140. And, like, they're going to meet again and again. Like, you have with those guys young, but you can have a lot of fun with that talent and that skill for years to come.
Yes. Look, I'm preliminary pick. I'm picking Teofimo Lopez to beat Lomachenko. You put Teofimo Lopez versus Devin Haney on ESPN. Put it after some sort of football game, a basketball game, Heisman Trophy Award, whatever it is. I don't care. Super Bowl, whatever it is. Like, that's the fight you make. Maybe it's the Super Bowl of 2021. You put that card that week in Miami or whatever, some bullshit. You put that on Super Bowl ads and make it the week after. I don't care. That is the fight you make. And it would be massive. Like you said, Gary, it's one of those that is the first chapter because they're so young. And because of their size, they're going to grow into 147 and finish out their rivalry there, in my opinion. And that is a true path to superstardom. You can do that. You can push the buttons, man. We've seen it done. Like I said, HBO pushed the buttons for Manny Pacquiao to be a superstar. Plus, he won great fights, had great fights. But they pushed the buttons to make him a superstar. If ESPN, DAZN, Fox, whoever, if they want to push buttons to make someone a superstar, they can definitely do it. Let's not be ignorant here. Moving on, though, for the sake of time, Daniel Roman wants an immediate rematch with Akhmadaliev. Exact quote from, I forget where this is coming from. I know it's boxing scene, but it's one of those where it's boxing clever, whoever that guy is writing the article. So he always just steals articles or interviews from people. Quote, it was a close fight. This is from Daniel Roman speaking. It was a close fight, and I take my hat off to Akhmadaliev for being a true warrior, said Roman, who is promoted by Thompson Boxing Promotions and Matchroom Boxing. Quote, I want a rematch because I think I won the fight. I believe I deserve to get the opportunity because I left it all in the ring. I know Akhmadaliev has the heart of a champion, and I believe he'll want to face me once more to settle the score between us. Gary, thoughts on Roman wanting the immediate rematch with Murzadon Akhmadaliev to get his 2 titles back?
All right. So here's the thing. I'm fine with him wanting the rematch. I figured he'd want the rematch because that's who he is. He needs to understand he didn't win that fight. Okay? Because if you go in and do what you did the last time, you're going to lose again because you didn't win. It's not like you got robbed. You didn't get a bogus decision. You lost. Okay? You need to accept that and then you come with a different game plan because if you do what you did, you're going to get what you got. So, and now he beat you. Okay. I think maybe he could make an adjustment and win. Roman's a really good fighter. And I think Akhmadaliev is certainly beatable. So I think he could find a different game and maybe win. But he has to understand that what he did wasn't good enough to win. His best wasn't good enough to beat the best that night. So good for him that he wants to rematch, make sure all his elbow and shoulder, whatever else he had surgery on, is good to go. And if it is, then great. That's what I want to hear from a champion. But make the adjustments because you didn't win.
I largely agree. I think, you know how like some fighters are in the fight and they might be taking shots and they're like, I didn't really feel that, and they don't really count it. You know how like fighters' brains in the ring is completely different from a viewer watching it. It just is. Like from experience being in the ring, like it's just how you feel and react to shots may look completely different than how people on the outside are looking at it. I think he thought he won. I 100% think he thinks that. If you look at the middle rounds, there's probably enough that we can go back and say, there's enough where if he's looking at that stuff in like the round 4, 5, 6, 7, he's thinking he probably won this fight because he probably thought he did that throughout all 12 rounds, so to speak, right? I think his volume, his body work, his work behind the jab, there's enough tools there for him to win a rematch. But he has to fine-tune it to a degree. I'm going to almost liken it to like Leo Santa Cruz, Carl Frampton, where the Leo Santa Cruz from the first Carl Frampton fight to the second Carl Frampton fight wasn't a different fighter. He just fine-tuned his entire game. You know what I mean? He sort of cut the edges off. He refined it a little bit and made it a little more efficient, a little bit more methodical, but it was still the same Leo Santa Cruz. I think Rahman, to some degree, needs that adjustment where his game is enough to beat Akhmadaliev, but he needs to know when to apply pressure, when to attack the body, when he is losing in a round due to flashy combinations, how to get that back, or how to use his footwork and jab, his overall boxing IQ, to make Akhmadaliev's athleticism inefficient, a la sort of what Leo Santa Cruz did to Carl Frampton. I want the rematch next, so I'm all in favor of it, to be honest. I thought the first fight was really fun. Not fight of the year contender, but it was a really, really good fight. And I think there's enough there for Rahman to get a victory. But also, if Akhmadaliev gets another win against Rahman, I mean, that solidifies Akhmadaliev as being the new prodigy champion at super bantamweight, which is awesome to see. We thought we had that at Isaac Dogbe. Maybe we have that with Akhmadaliev. Gary, any more thoughts on Rahman Akhmadaliev rematch?
No, it's the first fight was good. I'm glad that they want to do it.
Agree. Claressa Shields out there training kickboxing for the first time, and actually like throwing kicks and everything. And look, the kicks aren't great, but it looks like Claressa Shields is trying to do the right things on the right path to train for this transition to MMA. And it looks like Shields is significantly thinking or going to MMA and leaving boxing in the next 12 to 18 months. Gary, thoughts on what the ramifications are for women's boxing if Shields does take a long-term jettison from the sport?
It's not good, right? Like it's very bad. I mean, it's not just that you're losing a star, you're losing. It's like when golf lost Tiger Woods. It's like, it's not that you just lost it, so you watch everyone who watches it just for that one particular person. It would set the sport back. Now, I mean, she doesn't owe it to anyone to do what's in the best interest of Claressa Shields. I'm just saying, for the sport, it would have a really damaging effect, larger than just losing your biggest star. It would take eyes off the sport because there's no more reason to watch because she's the best, and we want to see who could potentially fight her and beat her. If she's gone, it's like,
No, I agree. I agree in large aspect. I mean, there's a significant argument that she is women's boxing in the U.S., right? Like, who else is really headlining cards? Who else is really pulling in any TV numbers to speak of? I mean, Michaela Mayer is stuck in mid-card and co-main event status, with Top Rank never trusting her to be a main eventer at this point in time. And Kay Taylor has been quite successful in the UK, but obviously she's not in the US market. I think she, like Rob said this on another show I think we did, maybe it was the last show, the show before that Shields is obviously just looking for a big fight, Brackus, whoever it may be. Hopefully we make that Brackus fight next, because that I think will keep Shields in boxing more long-term speaking, and sort of maybe hopefully realign her focus to the sport, because women's boxing needs people like Shields and Katie Taylor, and even like Michaela Mayer to some degree, to push the sport past that sort of Overton window of what it could be. Gary, any other thoughts on Shields? No, let's move on. What's the next topic? Oh, here we go. Joshua Greer and Jason Maloney, per Mike Coppenter's sources, have agreed to a deal to meet as the co-main event to Nayao Inoue versus John Rael Casamora on ESPN in Las Vegas in April. Gary, thoughts on Greer versus Jason Maloney, assumingly as a title eliminator for the winner of Inoue Casamora?
I love it. This is it. I've been on that Josh Greer hype train for how long?
Wow.
This is it. Right? Go win this. I mean, he's not going to beat Inoue. Let's be real. But beat Jason. It's Jason Maloney. Yeah, beat Jason Maloney. And that's a high quality win, and you've earned yourself a real shot at a world title. So I love the fight, and it's exactly the winner. It's a big win for whoever wins the fight, and I'm guessing it's Greer. And look, neither of them are going to have any success with Inoue.
It's not going to be Greer, by the way. It's going to be Jason Maloney. I have nothing really to base that off of, other than I think Greer's kind of looked a little bit poor in his last couple fights. And I just want to pick against Gary's pick because it's fun that way. Though I will say Jason Maloney, would you say that he was impressive in his loss to Emmanuel Rodriguez? Did he hang in tough? Did he show enough in that fight to make you think he was a true top 10, 15 guy?
Much better than I thought. Yeah, I thought he did well. He won rounds for sure. Like, he was competitive in that fight, but I thought he was going to get blown out.
It's so weird how like all these guys are just like putting in really competitive fights and Inoue is just blowing them out, except for Donaire, who fucking went at him. It's odd. Donaire's resurgence. So odd in this time. Like the fight, like it being a unspoken of title eliminator for Inoue Casamora. I think it makes a lot of sense. Plus, I think Inoue, God, the dude needs a soft touch to some degree, right? I mean, he's going to take Donaire and Casamora back-to-back with a broken orbital bone in between that. Yeah, take a Joshua Greer or Jason Maloney fight after that. It's okay, Inoue. We're okay with that. Moving on. Sabra Matias, per Mike Coppinger and sources, has signed a multi-fight deal with Al Heyman and PBC. The 140-pound contender will make his PBC debut February 2nd on the Wilder Fury undercard. Matias is an undefeated boxer from Puerto Rico, is a highly touted talent, power puncher who throws with volume. For those who maybe don't remember, he was the one opposite in the tragic death of Maxim Dadashev last year. Great fight, obviously ended in such tragedy, but that was a really good fight. And Sabra Matias really did look highly impressive in that fight. Gary, thoughts on PBC picking up Sabra Matias, how he can be, and sort of what player he can turn into at 140, and most likely 147, because he is a pretty big 140-pounder.
Yeah, my guess was they're using him as a future 147-pounder. I guess they're going to get him in an introductory fight. Because Dadashev's the best name on his resume. They're going to get him an introductory fight, and then they're going to look to put him in, I would guess, a title fight immediately after that, because he's there. Like, the kid's really good. Like, you can argue that he projects to be a top 5 guy at that weight class. His skills are really good. But I think that the long-term picture is 147, but let's put him in with Barrios in the not so distant future.
Ooh, Gary. Barrios Matias, please give me that fight. I'm going to pick Matias with everything. I'm betting the house on him, Gary. Barrios is going down. Remind me, Gary, it's not here, but I just want to make sure we address it. Did we talk about Koze Tanaka moving up to 115? No. We didn't talk about that. Oh my God. How did I forget that? Fuck. I wish I had it up. Well, guys, let me just hold on, just for the sake. So when I edit this, I can find this easier in the show. But Gary, Koze Tanaka is moving to Gary, please mute yourself. Koze Tanaka is moving up to 115 and now is the mandatory to Ioka. Thoughts on that, Gary? That Koze Tanaka, pound for pound possible fighter, 3-division champion, moving up to his 4th division now and taking on Kazuto Ioka, who looked fantastic in his last fight. You're muted.
Yeah. I would like to see him stay at 112 and clean up there because there's still other fights there, but I can't fault him. But this is a huge fight for him. I mean, it's obviously huge in Japan, and it's a great fight. I don't know who I would pick him to beat everyone at 112. I don't know if I'm going to pick him to beat Ioka straight away at 115. It's a great fight.
Gary, come on, man, come on.
Your tits. Have you been smoking something?
Come on, man. Julio Cesar Martinez.
I'm taking. I would take Tanaka in that fight.
What?
Oh, why is that crazy? Okay, I could see Martinez winning. Martinez is an offensive powerhouse. Like, yeah, I could see him winning, but like Tanaka's great too. Like Tanaka is more battle tested. Tanaka, I would take Tanaka. I'm not saying Martinez can't win. Obviously, he could win. It's a great fight. I would lean towards Tanaka.
Okay, he is more battle tested. He is. He has a great resume. Look, I'll be of this mindset. I am so upset we're not going to get Tanaka versus Martinez. That is such a great fight that would truly define who is the best flyweight in the world. But I get it. Plus, I mean, look, Ioka Tanaka is a fantastic fight. It's still a great fight. It's a massive fight in Japan. And plus, Martinez can still fight really good competition at 112 before he moves up. Because let's be honest, he's a giant guy in that division too. He's probably going to be moving up to super flyweight sooner rather than later and adding more depth to that division. We could see this isn't unlikely here. Let's be honest. They're both under the same umbrella and are from not rival camps, so to speak, in Mexico, but they're definitely not in the same camps. We could see Juan Francisco Estrada versus Julio Cesar Martinez in the next 18 months. And if Tanaka beats Ioka and Gonzalez gets past Yafe, we are 1,000% seeing Tanaka versus Roman Gonzalez in Japan. So if that all happens, I'm kind of okay with this. But I still want to see that Martinez Tanaka fight, man. I'm so upset. That was such a great fight. Damn it.
We could still get it. You know, like they're both young enough, but it could still happen.
But still, Gary. I'll be honest. If that fight happened next and then both guys moved up, I'd be far happier. Yeah, but it is what it is.
Obviously, I want that fight too, but Tanaka's getting this opportunity to fight Ioka. I'm sure there's more money in Ioka in Japan than there is Cesar Martinez. So, I mean, it's a legacy fight. It's the biggest fight for him. I mean, what are you gonna? You gonna fault him for taking it?
No, not at all. This is purely fanboy talking here and saying like that's the matchup I wanted. Me personally, that's a matchup I've been thinking about. God, now for a year. Like whenever I think about like fantasy matchups, that's on the top of my list. To be honest, in terms of like pure, like that fight is a fight of the century in terms of what it could produce. Tanaka, like you said, Tanaka is battle tested. Look at his fight with Angel Tito Acosta. You know, fights like Vic Saluda, like all those fights. Like he is a warrior. Martinez is a fucking bruiser. That fight would have been epic. Like you said, it's probably going to happen, but the road to it happening is longer. Them picking up an L before it happening is more likely. And again, that doesn't mean as much in the lower weight classes, but if for flyweight history, so to speak, and I know this is super nerd, like pointless categorizing, but like for flyweight history, it would have been nice to say this guy, either Tanaka or Martinez, was the best flyweight of his era. We kind of can't say that. We obviously we could lean Tanaka most likely, but Martinez has a great claim to it as well. And also Heath Farley in the chat coming in late, saying Tanaka isn't going to beat Ioka. Damn, I don't know about that. I'm picking Tanaka versus Ioka. Who are you picking in that fight, Gary? Look, Ioka is great, but I'm picking fucking Tanaka.
Ioka's the spoiler right now, and I may change this, but I'm going to go with Ioka for the time being.
You've always liked Ioka, so I can't fault you for that. And he does play spoiler a lot. He does. But Tanaka's a giant flyweight, man. He's so tall. He has range on him. His reach is significant for flyweight. I think he's going to transition to super flyweight very well, in my opinion. I love the fight.
People like that who's a 5'9" flyweight, a super flyweight. Like, I mean, that's not going to deter Ioka from getting on the inside. Like,
no, but I would say Tanaka is a far better inside fighter than Polite.
Yeah, he's far better. Yeah, sure, absolutely. I mean, Polite is a sniper from long range. That's it.
Yeah, he's a 5'9" fucking super flyweight. He has to be a sniper. He literally can't throw hooks on the inside. Like, think about it. He'd be like, he'd be just like, Deontay Wilder. That's what it looked like to a degree.
I've always said that Palikte is the flyweight Deontay Wilder.
Gary, any other thoughts on Tanaka, Ioka? Any other thoughts on any other topics on the show, man? Or any other topics you want to talk about?
No, that was the one I wanted to get into. I wanted to talk about the Greer fight, and I wanted to talk about Tanaka. We got an hour and 45-minute show today when, we were talking about are there enough topics to even do a show. So there was a lot to get into today. It was a good show.
Yeah, I definitely, it was one of those days when once I started looking at the topic list, I was like, oh, we actually have some topics to get to. And even one like I forgot to put on, I thought we discussed Tanaka already, and apparently we didn't. I think maybe that was just talking about it on social media because I was talking about it, I think, yesterday a lot because I think that's when the news came out. But anyways, Gary, that's going to be it for today's show. Obviously, find us at MCR Radio Show on Twitter. Find me at Matt Hunter MCR on social media. Find Gary at 3D Boxing Blog on social media as well. Hit the like button, share the show, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Patreon.com/Mixed Combat Radio. If you're listening on iTunes right now, drop that 5-star review. Gary, any other thoughts? Any other last well wishes to the listeners?
No, like I said, find me on all forms of social media at 3D Boxing. I thought we were going to have to spend a lot of time chopping up that Golden Boy card. Fortunately, Matt didn't watch it. The Negret fight was actually pretty good. So if you get a chance to go back and watch that.
He always puts on good fights too.
Yeah, it was a ton of punches. He fought the Argentinian Olympian, the 2-time Olympian, who they call the Argentinian Loma. I can see why they call him that, but he's just not good at it, And the guy he's a decent fighter, good fighter. But I mean,
wait, who's calling that? DAZN? DAZN commentary?
I mean, that's kind of like they were, but that's kind of his nickname. Like that's.
Look, pro tip to all fighters: do not put in your nickname legends. Just don't say, I don't know, like Matt, the next Roy Jones Jr. Hunter. Like, no, don't do that. Just don't stop. Bam. Nope. Don't do that. Nicknames overall suck anyways, unless they're like truly catchy. So don't try to be corny with it, please.
What about your boy, Little B Hop?
But he changed that.
He's prime time now.
He's prime time, and I think honestly speaking, I know we still call him Little B Hop. I think he was smart to change his nickname.
Absolutely.
To create your own brand is better than to attach yourself to another brand, and especially in this sport.
Someone else's nickname, like Sugar Shane Mosley or Pud Rodriguez. What about stealing a legend's nickname?
Stealing it. What's his name? Cassius Clay Collard.
Yeah.
God, it was lame in the UFC, man. It's lame in boxing more so. Anyways, guys, hit the like button, all that YouTube stuff. Gary.
From Texas to the world, thank you, and God bless.
Peace.